Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Life Conversations with a Twist. I have Puja on. We were just met this again. Like probably everybody who listens to my podcast are like, "Oh my God, Heather just meets these amazing women and has these great conversations." But this is truly what I love doing. But we were connected through some mutual friends. Laura, who is actually on my podcast, recommended you to come on mine, and you were on hers. I'm assuming because she has one as well.
Yes, I was on hers as well.
I love it. So, welcome. Tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, where you live. Where do you live?
So I'm in well, actually, I never found out where you are. I always change that answer depending on where the other person is. But GTA, Greater Toronto Area, GTA, I'm
Okay.
like in the market area.
You're in Canada.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
in Canada.
Lucky you right now. Oh, we all want to live in Canada from the
Yeah.
US. Um,
Well, you guys
yeah,
are all welcome. You're welcome.
I know. It's trust me, every day it looks better and better. I'm from obviously United States. I'm in California.
Okay, beautiful. Well, you've got that beautiful sun, so.
Yes, we are very lucky where we are. I'm about an hour north of San Francisco. So
Oh,
right now, the
perfect.
sun is starting to come out. It's going to be a beautiful day. I'm in wine country, so I really can't
Yeah,
complain.
yeah, no, no, not being in wine country, like that's kind of nice.
So tell everyone about what you
Yeah.
do. You have a beautiful ring on, for
Thank you.
those who are watching on video.
Thank you. So I run a branding boutique, and so we're a branding agency that really works with female founders to build them out up regardless of what stage they are in their business. So we have packages ready for those of you who are just starting out and don't want to go that DIY route, and also for the experienced entrepreneurs who want more of that done for you, want that strategy, and have already kind of outgrown that initial brand and now know where they want to head. And so we provide branding and website packages for them. And then on top of it, actually this year I decided to start mentoring because I want to see more women who look like me in my field. And so, kind of break the stereotypes and bring more people on, and I guess increase my competition in a good way.
Competition's always good.
I love it. I love it. And that's the thing is like I didn't come here to just leave that door behind me closed. I want more people who look like me doing the jobs that I'm doing. And I didn't necessarily have the mentors who did look like me when I was kind of getting into this industry as well.
And what is your ethnicity background? Where are you from?
Oh, I'm South Asian. So I was born and raised in Canada, but my parents are from Delhi, India.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Do they still live there?
No, they're still here.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
still here. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
they've been here for 30 years. I don't think they could move back at this point. Like, I say 30 years and then I'm like, wait, no, I'm 37. So they've been here for like 40 plus years now. And so it's a very different place there now. And I think they're rooted here completely.
Mm. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have two younger sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be fun.
It is. I am one of the lucky few who does get along with their siblings, and I have two sisters who are honestly my soulmates.
I love that. So what was your passion behind your business? Like were you always like in that creative space? What kind of made you continue down that journey?
So my parents consistently encouraged creativity in our house. They are both very creative people themselves, and so that was always encouraged, and art was looked at the same way as many other subjects were. Which is not typical for a South Asian household necessarily. But as it was encouraged with education, I knew from the get-go that I wanted to have sort of a bachelor's or some sort of certification in design. And so I did end up going down that route and getting a bachelor's of design. So my passion for art and creativity has always been there since I was 6 years old. I also knew I wanted to be my own boss at a very young age. I realized I'm not made to work for other people. And that didn't stop me from then, still going through the corporate rounds. And I am a corporate dropout myself. And so I did work in corporate for about 8 years. And from there, then started launch my own business when I was ready. But as far as knowing what exactly that business would be. I didn't, but I knew it was something that would allow me to be creative and also allow me to share my story.
You made a good point, and it was something that I wanted to ask you because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when like a lot of people want to start their own business. I mean, and I'm speaking to myself because I was in the same boat. Like, I know I wanted to do something, I knew I could do it, but everybody feels like you have to know exactly what it is that you want to do. And then also to that, especially the work you're doing, is like we have to have this beautiful logo and we need to have this beautiful website to like actually launch. Was that your same experience? And what was that like for you?
So it's funny because for me, I don't necessarily think that the logo and website you launch with is going to be your forever.
Mm,
I am a strong believer that you will eventually outgrow it. And that's why, like, even the services we provide hit different demographics on where you are in your journey. Not so much like your age range or anything, it's where you are in your journey. And so when you're starting out, it is that DIY sort of like figure it out. You're trying to understand who you are attracting.
mm,
And so 90% of our clients that actually do come in and that do the done for you services are people who have outgrown their DIY. And I think that that part of their journey is very magical and it allows people to, make mistakes
mm,
along the way. And so even for myself, the way that I launched my business is definitely not what my business is today. When
mm,
I launched, I really wanted to be accepted by everyone.
mm,
And because I came from a corporate background, for me, I thought success meant not saying things like, I am only working with female founders. Something as simple as that would not be a sentence I would have said in the beginning. But now, I mean, 9 years in, um, I know that those are my clients. Those are the people that I attract, and those are the people that I do want to work with, and that's where the magic happens.
mhm, So good. I always thought my business was going to be women focused because of the work that I do in my podcasts and stuff and my women's retreats and like I'm in this like woman empowerment space. But most of my clients in my like consulting world have been male.
Oh, that's so
I
crazy.
know. I was just talking to
Yeah.
one of them about it too. I look back and I'm like, pretty much every single one of them is a male because I teach on like business development and sales and building clients through, relationships. And men just don't have that, like, they just don't have it in them. You know what I
The
mean?
nurturing
And
aspect.
especially when they're male in a very women dominated industry, like how do they insert themselves with it, within that. And so it was interesting and definitely not something that I thought my business it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, I went the opposite way. So I thought it would be like, I mean, I thought I'd be attracting brands of all type. I never thought it was going to be a specific demographic. And I will say that the women that I attract, as I know I don't niche down to a certain industry,
Mm,
but I do attract the same kind of person.
mm,
And that person is someone who is a doer, who is motivated, who has ambition to build something that is greater than them and bring impact into the world.
So good. So good. I love all your artwork behind you.
Oh, thank you.
It's
I
so
try to
cute.
keep it as fancy as possible. But a lot of them I just find at like different markets I've been to, or some of them, like that little peacock's been with me since I was, I don't know, 8.
Love
Like
it.
it's
I
just,
like the
yeah.
piece up in the corner.
That one, yeah, that one's actually one of my old friends. She actually sources them. She's an interior designer.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So, what does a client like, what is their experience working with you? Or like what are the type of like who's your like favorite type of clients to help? And like what is it that you do with them?
I think it's hard for me to say like a favorite type of client, but I would say my favorite thing. Let's maybe switch that
Better.
up a little bit. Um, because what I do love is like every time a client walks in, I want to learn more about their industry. And so whether you're an interior designer or a stylist or, someone in the restaurant business, I love working with variety because it allows me to learn more about that industry.
Mm,
And I think it keeps me on my toes. It also pushes me not to template my designs,
mm,
and pushes me to really think about who that person is as a full and how they're going to grow. So for me, it's all about timeless designs. And in order to get that, especially with the done for you services, it is very transformational and
Mhm.
it's about self-discovery. And
Mhm.
so my favorite part is watching that person walk in initially in that first meeting and seeing who they become by the time we launch.
Mm.
And I think that's where the magic happens because I feel like people come in with an idea. Even as an experienced entrepreneur, they come in with an idea, and to see the spark and the confidence that they get from their brand afterwards is really special for me.
And I'm going to bring up the AI thing because I'm sure you probably
Yeah.
experience that all the time, and everyone's always like AI is going to take over, and I think in certain industries, and absolutely it will, but I think something the work that you do to like really get to know somebody and who they are and the type of client they attract and the industry that they're in, like you could get that from AI, but not to the personal level of the services like you do.
100%. And I think the thing is like AI can take over really the data side of things.
Hmm.
Right? And so there is data that I collect as well. So I really try to get to know your industry, your competitors, all that fun stuff. And that's all stuff that AI can gather and give you something through that as well. But for me, it's also magic in understanding who you are and what your lifestyle is and how you want to see your business grow. And that comes from workshopping and spending time together before we even start the design process.
How, well, like, what is the process? So if somebody comes to you and I mean, I'm sure you probably had different types of packages depending on
Yeah.
what they need, but like, what is the timeline typically look like?
Yeah. So I like, with the smaller packages for the people who are just starting out, those timelines are completely different, but I'll speak on kind of the bigger done for you package because that would be where you'd come in and we'd start from scratch and really build up. And so you're looking at about 8 to 10 weeks on average. But what we do is we start with a brand interview, which you'd fill out on your own time. We would then take that, review it, to run a competitor analysis, and then we'd sit down with you for a 60-minute workshop period. And that workshop period is where like the true magic happens. And so what I'm trying to see in that is like where you get that little sparkle in your eye, what your body language looks like when you're speaking about certain ideologies with your brand or even your competitors, right?
Mhm.
So building and workshopping from there. And then we go back and we actually do all our designs, our initial concepts in black and white because
Mhm.
color will change your direction based on what your relationship is with a certain color. Some people love pink, some people hate pink, some people feel some way about green, and some people, don't feel so keen about green. So we want to take color out of it and really focus in on the concept. And then from there, we bring in color palettes and work with you. And then we'll create an entire brand style guide, which is the holy grail of your brand and your business, and it'll outline who you are, what your mission is, your color palettes, your font palettes, your logo usage, all that fun stuff.
So fun. I feel like I
Yeah.
love that stuff so much. And then like I always think it would be so much fun, but it like it's super, super overwhelming to me, like because like there's just so many options out there to go.
Yeah, and that's part of my job is to narrow down the options for you based on who you are because
Hmm.
ultimately the goal is for me why I left corporate because I was doing this for corporate in the corporate world as well. And what I realized is that I really enjoy doing it for small business. And I want to be able to give it to people who don't necessarily have these massive marketing teams behind them. And that's what sparked the interest in bringing this business to life. And that's my main why is like, how do I give you that competitor edge that, a brand like Coca-Cola has?
Hmm.
Right. And a lot of small businesses aren't necessarily like these small business owners are educated in what they provide, but they're not necessarily educated in that branding aspect. And so bringing in that cohesiveness, telling them how they can show up in a way that will create that memorable brand experience for their clients.
I love that. Do you work with people all over the world?
Yes. Yeah. I've had a few clients in California, and even the Bahamas actually once.
Okay,
So anywhere and everywhere. I mean, Zoom does make it easier. So
for sure.
I love that everything can just be online.
So you mentioned in the beginning of your you introducing yourself about like some of the challenges of being an immigrant and like having somebody who was a mentor for you that looked like you, like
Yeah.
talk about what that was like for you and kind of some of the things that you've learned along the way.
Yeah, so I will just say I'm not personally an immigrant. I was born and raised here. And so
Okay.
for me, my story is very different from what my parents' story might be.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was, I think there was this constant ideology of like not fitting in anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So because I was born here, I wasn't Indian enough for the Indian people, and because I was born here, but I look like I do, I wasn't, white enough for the white people. And I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood as well. And so I think the challenge for me was really just owning who I was and
Mm-hmm.
who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that it's okay to show up as I am,
Mm-hmm.
because the world has changed a lot since I was little, and I guess parts of it has haven't either,
Yeah.
depending on how you see it. There is this aspect that is more accepting, of course, though, that you see. And so I think now, because there's more people like me in the positions that we're in, we're able to show the others, or the generation coming up, that you can do this. And that was really important for
Mm-hmm.
me, because I wanted to be able to showcase that, because I felt like for me, I did feel isolated, and I didn't know that anybody truly understood like the cultural nuances um, that come with being a South Asian woman
Mm-hmm.
trying to build a business.
hmm What were some of the challenges? Like, and I'm just saying this like in general as a business
Yeah,
owner, because I think like so many people are hesitant to start a business. I mean, I
yeah,
certainly was myself, but I would never go back. It's like once you're
yeah,
in
same.
it, you're like, well, there's some people that go back, but I'm like, I
Yeah,
would never go back.
yeah.
But there's are always challenges. Like, what are some of the challenges that, you faced and overcame that you could share with other people to help
Yeah.
motivate them?
I think I think like all the challenges that you face, especially like, you being a woman, me being a woman, like they're very similar challenges, but then there's also this idea of like, am I safe here to voice my opinion? Right? And it's not even so much like safety as like you could be in a room that's super safe for you physically, but is it okay for me to be visible here
Mhm,
and share my story? And how is it going to be received? And I
mhm,
think that that was a big fear that I had to get through and get over. And it was hard, because initially when I did start my business, I almost wanted to hide who I was
mm,
to blend in with what I knew success was being matched as. So,
mm,
that we talk about, I hate this term girl boss. But there was a big part of when I was starting my business where it was this ideology of like who the girl boss is. And generally, when you think of that notion, it is kind of like a whitewashed version of what a a boss should look like. And so trying to fit in and blend in and use the millennial pink, or all those trends that we had with the hustle culture, um took away who and stripped me of who I was internally.
mhm,
And I'm someone who's bold, I'm someone who's bright, I'm someone who wants to showcase all aspects of myself, but that is not something that I started with. It's something that I healed from
mm,
and learned, that it was okay to do this, and also that it's okay to step away from rooms where you don't feel safe to share that. I
mm,
don't need to prove anything to anybody.
mm, mm. So
Yeah.
good. I know the confidence thing is real. And I think you had mentioned in the email that when we were chatting about the imposter syndrome. And I think you hear
Yes.
so much about it. And like I have it
Yeah.
all of the time. It's like
Yeah.
and then you get in a room with somebody who is so inspired by you or so inspired by the work you do or so inspired by, like having a podcast or, whatever it is. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I guess I can do this. But it takes some grit and some like self-discovery of to build that confidence to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. And like I think the thing is that we believe that there's this belief out there that imposter syndrome comes and then we get over it.
Hmm
And it's not like that. It's almost like imposter syndrome comes, we get over it, and then it comes back again, and then we get over it, and then we reach another goal, and then it comes in again. And so it never really goes away.
hmm
But you have to remind yourself, I think, even on your darkest days, of like why you're doing this. And that's what keeps me as a business owner, is seeing those testimonials come in. I had a woman who recently came up to me and told me that I'm on her vision board. And that melted my heart. And I just remind myself on those days where I feel like things are harder that, hey, you're on somebody's vision board. So let's like make this happen and make sure that, you show up 100%. So those little reminders throughout are important to get over that imposter syndrome and
Mhm.
build that confidence. It's not getting over something and then it never comes back.
Totally. One thing too, you had mentioned is that you're an introvert. And it's so interesting because I have this conversation all the time because I'm an extrovert for
Yeah.
sure. Like, put me in a room with no one I know, I got it, right? Like, I can handle this. I love it. I thrive off of it. I go home. I'm an introvert though when I get home.
Yeah.
Um, but as a business owner, you kind of have to put yourself out there because you are your salesperson. You are the face of the business. Talk about some of the things that have helped you along the way to kind of overcome that.
I think having a plan in place. So for me, like I know, I still know this happens to me anytime I have to go to an event. My heart starts to race. I just feel nervous. I think I'm gonna just cling on to somebody, and then what's the point of me even going if I'm not meeting people? And so what I've started to do is create a plan going into it,
Mhm.
and I make my day easy. So I understand that I need to recharge, which means so this event is my work for the day.
Mm,
And so I will take time, whether it's an evening event, I will take an easier day during the daytime. If it's a morning event, I will have an easy morning and just go to the event and then take the rest of the evening off. And so those are just tools that work for me because I need that recharge moment. I know I've also been to events where I'm just like, okay, I think I just need to step out of the room, maybe go to the bathroom, fix my hair, just take a few minutes to just breathe myself.
yeah.
Because for me, it's the anxiousness of having to make small talk. Now, if you were to see me at an event, you would never imagine that this is me. And so another thing that really helps me is like creating that persona.
Yeah.
So I like it's almost like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce sort of aspect of it, right? And so I recently was asked, like, do you have a persona when you're designing? And I'm like, no, when I'm designing, that's the truest form of me.
Mhm.
But it's when I'm out meeting people where I do feel like I'm not being fake, but I have to be on.
Mhm.
And I think it's okay to know that you're still being authentic when you're showing up and you're being on, and then you're still yourself when you're at home, snuggled up by your desk designing away.
I also think that we have to be better about being okay with not being perfect on things. Like, you can put me behind a microphone and I like podcasting is my jam. Like,
Yeah,
this is great and easy for me. You put me in
yeah,
a microphone in front of a group, I'm
yeah,
a hot mess. And I've learned to just accept like that's okay and that I don't need to be perfect in that world if like I'm thriving somewhere else. And I think we put a lot of pressure on us to be perfect all the time in every single way, but I think it's okay to be like I'm not strong at that. I'm not strong at pronouncing people's names. I'm not a strong writer. I know this and I just need to be like okay with it. But it has taken many years to like get to that point of being like but this is who I am and take it or leave
yeah.
it.
I think that goes into business too. It's like we try to do everything.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest business lessons I learned was to hire people who are smarter than me
Yeah.
in other aspects that I'm not really good at, right? And I think that's hard to let go, especially when, a lot of us treat our business like it's our baby. Like we've nurtured it, we've created it, and we don't want to let go of certain aspects. And I think it's really important to understand what we need to let go of in order to thrive and build even more.
Where does your like where do you continue to find creativity? Like, like for me, podcasting, since I'm a podcaster, I love listening to other podcasts because it like kind of like fuels my soul, right? But like where do you have websites? What do you do to find your creativity?
I think for me, it's the energy that comes from meeting new people.
Mm,
And it's funny that I say that as an introvert, but one-on-one, I'm great. But it's that magic. My clients are the ones who inspire me and their stories. And so a lot of what we do with the branding is understanding their story and their why. And that's what helps me figure out what I want to do and bring that creativity. Now, I could also say like, music plays a big role in it.
Mhm.
I have to be in my environment, cleanliness. There's other factors, but I think the number one thing would be the people I work with. That's what drives my creativity.
Mhm. Do you have a team?
No.
No,
So
just solo girl.
I, yeah, I am solo, but I will not like for me, I hesitate saying I'm a solopreneur because although I don't have a team that's designing with me, I do have contractors that I work with
Yeah.
from time to time. And then of course, like, there's like the entire team behind the facility of being a woman in business is like, you have your VAs, you have your cleaning ladies, you have like, the village that helps you take care of your children. Like there are other aspects of team, and that's why I hesitate always using the word solopreneur because I'm not solo. I have a lot of help in different aspects, and I try to like again use apps and AI that help me build out my business in a way where it can thrive.
Totally. Yeah, it does take a village for sure.
Yeah,
What, do you have kids?
I have one.
You have
Yeah,
one.
one
How old?
3-year-old.
Me
It's
too. They're fun. Well,
like, oh yeah.
I have four kids, but my youngest is a 3-year-old.
Yeah, yeah, I want more, but 3-year-old's a handful. Like he keeps me on my toes.
Sure do. And yeah, I have a
Yeah,
boy too.
yeah.
Um, oh, what was I going to ask you? Oh, what are like the new trends in branding? Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
just like anything else, things like evolve, right? Like what are you seeing some of the new like fun trends around branding, logos,
Yeah.
websites?
Yeah. I think people are now like stepping into this really fantastic energy of owning ownership of who they are,
Mhm.
right? There's no hiding. Like I feel like we went through this phase where everyone wanted to blend in. And it could just be what I'm attracting right now to the energy that I'm putting out there, but a lot of people are done being cookie cutter,
Mhm.
right? And want to step into really building out that persona of who they are. And so, alongside building these business brands, you're seeing a lot of personal brands launch with that. And I
Mhm.
think that's really important to share because, like you said, we are the faces of our brand, of our business. And so, it's important for us to put ourselves out there as well.
So true. I know I still struggle with my branding because I have like my consulting business and then I have my
Yeah.
podcast and then I have my retreats and like how do I make this like all encompass brand? But I've been struggling with that because they are very unique and different things.
Yeah, but then you are like kind of the one that holds the umbrella together, right? And I
Yeah.
think that that's a lot of what people are doing is people are multifaceted in what their offers are to the world, whether it's a podcast or their business, and then they have like all these little pieces of who they are
hmm
that in some cases make profit in different ways. And so building out a brand that's for them specifically, I think is really on trend right now.
hmm That's so fun. Anything else that we didn't like talk about?
I don't, it's up to you. I feel like there's always more that we can discuss. I mean, like that's life, right?
Yeah. What would you say to the woman that's listening right now that has in her heart to do
Mhm.
something different, whether it's start a business or try a hobby or follow their dreams? Like, what is some advice that you learned along the way that would inspire others?
You're the only person standing in your own way.
hmm
Like nobody's going to stop you. And so once you decide to do something, everything is going to be like easy to figure out. And when I say easy, I don't mean like, there will be nights where you might not sleep. It will be hard, but the universe will work together to make it happen. And
hmm
I truly believe that is like once you decide that this is what I'm doing, it happens.
It's so true. And it's so true how, like this just happened to my stepdaughter. Like things happen
Yeah.
and you get worked up and you get upset about it. And I'm like, literally everything always like figures itself out. I tell
Ah,
this to my husband all the time. Like, yeah, there's a little bump in the road, but it always works itself out. And sometimes it's not what we think it will, but it always works out.
yeah. And
Always
like
figure it out.
I think what we really need to be mindful of is like sometimes we think it didn't work out the way that we wanted, but it still works out in a way that maybe we didn't even imagine it to, and that's always better,
hmm
right? It just creates something that's better. And I find that, when I've been through some rough patches in my life, and when you are going through those rough patches, you think that it's not going to get better, and this is really hard, and I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, and you start questioning everything. But looking back at those hard times, I'm just like, wow, now I see why that happened to me. Now I understand why, I have to go through bullying or this, or even just like, I dealt with like infertility and all these things that came my way were challenges throughout life, but allowed me to become the person I am and allow me to share my story in ways that I don't think other people can.
It's so true. What's next for you? What is on your vision board and what are you like,
Yeah.
what's the next step for you?
I think for me right now, I am on this train of increasing visibility. I think I've run my business for 9 years in a silent way.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that I didn't show up, but I just feel like right now I'm showing up with community in a very different way. And I'm excited about this because I feel like I'm ready to share my story in my words.
Hmm. So good. Well, I'm so thankful to have you here and that we are connected. I love the work you're doing, and it's so funny because I run into people all the time. I'm like, you should come on my podcast, and they're like, well, I don't have a cool story. I'm like, everyone does. Like, literally,
Yeah,
everybody has a story, and or they've
yeah.
learned something, or they can inspire people, and it's like it's always that one day I put on a podcast and I'm like, this topic is exactly what I needed to hear.
Yes.
And so I always find that in everyone. So I just want to thank you for, sharing your story, sharing your journey, and being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.